Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of the Break-Thru Active podcast. As always, I'm here with Mitch. How are you?
Good afternoon, mate. Doing really well. We've finally got a bit of a break in the weather. I'm just peering outside, bit of sunshine for probably the first time this week. It's been a bit wild and wet, so it's nice to see the sun.
When my dogs are cooped up inside, they absolutely go bananas. They're barking at everyone walking past. They just do not shut up.
Yeah, mine are getting a little bit cagey as well. It's been a bit upsetting. I had touch footy called off last night. Cricket will probably be called off again tomorrow.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, haven't got a game yet. So hopefully sooner than later we get on. But yeah, nice to see the sun for now.
So we always say this, but we always say that we're going to keep these podcasts nice and short and end up dragging out to about 3 or 4 hours. So I'm going to surprise Mitch on the spot. We're going to put a time cap. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You got 5 minutes. We've got 5 minutes to discuss. And you're going to ask me a question. And I've got 5 minutes to discuss my answer. So today's theme is, what is the number one thing that we've changed our mind on over the last 5 years that is health and fitness related? Okay. So this might be something that we've really believed in 5 years ago. And now that through our experience with members, through becoming more and more educated, that we've completely just changed our mind on and realized that we put a lot more focus on that area than we should have.
But before we start talking about what it is, I think it's important for everyone to be open-minded with whatever it is you're working with or what you think about, because I think stubbornness and being very set in your ways can only get you so far. And we'll talk about a few of the examples we have, but if you're unable to keep an open mind and unable to change the way you view things and the way you perceive things, I think it will always end up coming back to bite you. So I think it's always nice to reflect on things that you used to think maybe weren't as important or were more important, and now maybe not so much because of the more you've learned or the more you've experienced and changed your opinion on things. So I'm interested to hear what yours will be actually.
It's especially health and fitness too, because it is still such a new industry and gyms haven't been around that long, and people are learning new ways every day to train and eat better just through studies that haven't been done before. Yeah,
exactly. And like I said, it's still a work in progress for a lot of aspects and with a lot of different things. So it's always important to continue to learn and continue to be educated with certain things. And like I mentioned before, not be resistant to changing your opinions or changing your beliefs on things.
And a great example before we get started, if we were to all think how we thought as children, we'd eat nothing but the crust on our bread because Mum said it was the healthiest thing in the world.
Gets you big and strong.
Mum was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, Mitch, what is the number one thing that you have changed your mind on over the last 5 years?
Yeah, so we spoke about, well, Jamie asked me this just before on camera, and it took me a little bit of time to actually think of it. But
hey, mate, I'm starting the timer.
Yeah, good. What I've landed on is the importance of warming up and the importance of cooling down and the whole recovery process when it comes to training. So when I started to get more into training when I was in my early to mid 20s, I did not warm up. I did not cool down. I would walk into the gym and I would grab, 60% of my max for whatever the weight was and do 10 to 15 reps, and then it would be working towards your max weight within the next set or two. And
it was a classic bench press warm up. It was 2 plates, 1.5 plates, 2 plates, and we're away.
Yeah, pretty much. There was no stretching, there was no mobility, there was no warming up on the rower, there was none of that. It was just straight into it and you're away. And when you are in your early to mid 20s, for most people, maybe not so much Jamie because he's got a bit of a different story, but you are a little more invincible when it comes to injuries and aches and pains and being able to recover from that, just because you are younger and everything's working a lot better. But over time, and obviously the more I've started to work with clients and members, and obviously over the last half a decade, there's been probably thousands of people that we've worked with. And most of those people have been older than us, and really just understood the need to be able to have to warm up and get your body ready to be able to train, and then taking some time afterwards to cool down. And then also the importance of recovery when it comes to sleep and hydration and nutrition and everything that's involved with that. But when it comes to what you're doing in your time in the gym, you know, speaking from experience, I spend almost, if not more, time warming up than I do in the workout. If I've got a 15-minute workout upcoming, I will probably spend 15 minutes getting my body ready to do that. If I'm going to be doing a 20-minute weight session, it is probably 10 to 20 minutes of warming up before that to get my body ready. And that's how I've been able to stay effectively injury-free and being able to train consistently all that time. And then I have now, and what we do now, we do dedicate time to warming up every single session. In times gone by, when a little earlier on in boot camp, we would get ourselves pretty much straight into it, albeit a little bit different because it was more just body weight training and less load. But even so, especially with people in their 30s and 40s and 50s and beyond, we need to spend the time to get our bodies prepared, to get our bodies warmed up, to get our bodies ready for what's upcoming. So something that I always sort of read and understood that you should probably warm up and you should probably cool down. But I've really taken that on board the last couple of years, I'd say, and especially here in the last year or so when we've moved into our active locations. We're doing a lot more complex movements. We're starting to lift some heavier weights. Your body needs to be ready to be able to train. So dedicating and focusing more on that warm-up has been really important. And then having some time after the session just to cool down and stretch and hang out and relax before we carry on with our day.
Yeah, and you're a good athlete and you still have to do those things and you're in your early 30s. I was absolutely invincible till I was about 26 and then I had my knee operation, shoulder operation. Now I have all these little imbalances. The warming up component is even more important for me. And I think that would mirror more of some of our older members that might be in their late 30s and 40s that do have those aches and pains.
Yeah, and part of me being, a pretty good athlete is the fact that I have been able to stay injury-free because I have looked after my body. If I had have had a year or 18 months or even 6 months when I couldn't have been able to train, I would have lost a lot of my strength. I would have lost a lot of my fitness. Like you've just said there, I would have imbalances and different limitations that maybe I don't have now, and that would definitely impact the state of my fitness and the state of my strength now. So I really feel as though being consistent with your training and staying injury-free is the best way for you to be able to see progress and see results. Because if you're able to continuously train and you're not having to have time off due to injuries, or you're not having to modify things too much, then you are going to continue to see progress. And that's what's happened with me. And that's what I feel like, a lot of our members, that have been able to stay out of injury have seen. But also those of you that have had injuries are still able to see progress because you've managed it the right way. But like Jamie mentioned, those of you who may have a few ailments, a few aches and pains, a few little rehab things that you're focusing on, even more reason to warm up because we don't want to be furthering any of those injuries. And we find that, most people that we have in our program, they do have something that is a little bit of a dicky knee or, a bit of a bad back or whatever it is. So the importance of warming up and getting prepared is even more essential.
Yeah, and my injuries came through an impact sport, being AFL, and I've never hurt myself in the gym, right? And if we are following those correct protocols of warming up and cooling down, and you have a clean bill of health, you have no underlying issues, then you shouldn't get injured. Like obviously you'll have strains here and there, but for the most part, you should be moving well and healthy, especially as we get older, when it's so important that we still access those ranges of motion that we might not do as frequent as we did when we were younger. Like sitting into a full squat, for example.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And I think the older we get, typically, we get a bit more sedentary as we get older. Life seems to slow down a bit. We're working a little bit more and spending a little bit more time sitting down and doing a little bit less than maybe we did when we were in our teens and early 20s. So the importance of getting your body ready, being limber, being able to control your range of motion, being able to work with good patterns of movement and just having your body prepared for each time you do something strenuous is even more vital as we start to get older, and that goes for everyone. Everyone's getting older every single day and every single year. So I really feel as though the importance of warm-up has stood out to me. And I don't want to talk too much about recovery because that's a lot longer than 5 minutes. But, taking care of your recovery, knowing that some days you aren't going to feel great, and that's those days you maybe aren't as recovered, and it's okay to not push yourself, that 100% on those days if it is going to potentially risk or risk an injury or something because you're not feeling great. But the warming up, I really feel, is something that we've implemented and really changed a lot within obviously what we do in sessions, but also for me personally.
That was 7 minutes, mate. Pretty good. Too far over.
Felt quick.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So, good. I was within a couple of minutes. So, same question for you. What's the one thing, and there's probably been a host of things, but what's the one major thing that you've changed your opinion on?
Just supplements in general, hands down. So you used to also, when we first started going to the gym, all the way back in 2007, we were down at a local ASN at Erina, speaking to our good mate, getting some cheap supplements. And we went from, it started off with protein powder. And then all of a sudden they released a supplement called amino acids, or BCAA's branched chain amino acids. So then we take that is the color drink. And then from there, it went to creatine. And then from there, it went to pre-workouts. And there's pre-workouts that have caffeine. There's pre-workouts that have vasodilators. So like ones that give you better blood flow. What other ones do we have?
I remember having glutamine by itself as well.
Yeah,
one of the amino acids just by itself.
Yeah, the most essential.
Casein protein, so a different type of protein that you wanted to have overnight because it was slow digesting.
Yeah, I had berberine.
I've had multivitamins and fish oil and a few other sort of just vitamins like that. Yeah,
tyrosine, GABA, theanine. There's just so many, and we just kept going down.
Can't forget your theanine.
Theanine. What was the one you used to take for a back pump when your back gets a bit sore? What was that one called?
Taurine.
Yeah, that was a good one. Maybe.
That's what's in energy drinks, actually.
Taurine. Yeah, I think guarana and taurine.
Yeah, so we tried most things. Like we definitely, there was probably a couple here and there that we didn't, but we were suckers for the marketing at the supplement shop, and we always believed the big muscly guy behind the counter that this stuff would help.
Yeah, and the truth is, they do help. They do, but it is like all those supplements combined, if you take them all in one day, it is 1% of your overall health and fitness. And those things will do next to nothing if you are not training correctly, if you're not eating correctly, and if you're not sleeping correctly. And both of us should have fell for that lie that it's going to solve all of our problems. We're going to build enormous amounts of muscle while stripping body fat and getting smarter at the same time. If we look at the key word, which was just supplements, you supplement them into your meal plan. And for me now, the only supplement that I take is protein powder. And I wouldn't even consider that a supplement because that is a food source. That is a version of milk that is, I don't know how you make protein powder, but it is some
broken down and
some type of dairy that's broken down and processed. And the end result is that powder. So it still started from a food. It is not different types of chemicals to give you certain different effects in the gym.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just that they should supplement deficiencies within your nutrition. If you are someone who eats, well, and eats, we're not going to talk about what you should be eating, but if you then still lack iron, then having an iron supplement is going to help. However, I don't even know what theanine is, let alone if you produce it naturally or if that's just all hype. But there's a big difference between things that your body needs and then things that are effectively just buzzwords or brands or whatever, like theanine or GABA that are going to help.
And more importantly, the big supplement guy behind the counter, he doesn't know whether you're iron deficient because he isn't going to do a blood test in store with you, which is the only way to find out whether you are iron deficient. And
I don't want to bash supplements here because I feel like there's a lot worse things people could be spending money on, like drugs and alcohol and gambling and the rest of it. But it's more just for us, we realized they weren't that essential. But do you remember if there was like a light bulb moment where you sort of came to that realization that what the hell am I doing having all this stuff?
Well, it's when I opened my cupboard and I had 20 things. And like an old lady, I had a pill dispenser. It's like I had my little creatine tablet. I had my my glutamine, my leucine. I don't even know. There was just tablet after tablet after tablet that I was taking. And it just, and at that same time, I was drinking the house down.
Alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
not water.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think we both have the same belief that they have their place with certain things and certain people, but they're certainly not something that you need to run out and get every time that you run out of something, or because you hear about someone else taking it or hear about the health benefits or something. But I still remember one of the it was probably the first time I really was second guessing a lot of the decisions I made with supplements. And you'll remember this. It was those X50 green teas that used to be around. I think they were X50. And on the packet, they were called X50 because it gave you the same health benefits as 50 normal green teas. That's why it was like 50 times as good.
Sounds true.
Yeah, and even back then, obviously not quite as educated, maybe not as curious as I was now, I thought, how can it be that is 50 times better than a very well thought about, green tea? And the same when you see other multivitamins that are supposedly 20 servings of fruit and vegetables in one tablet. And it's just, I mean, you'd think common sense would have prevailed when you see that, but a lot of the time you want the easy solution and you think, I don't have to eat any vegetables if I can just have this tablet. And then that's the way I thought and the way that a lot of people do. But I still remember that point in time where I thought, hang on a minute, come on, I'm not that dumb. Surely not. Surely not 50 times.
If this was true, there'd be clinical studies done. That means over a 6-week period, one person would be drinking 50 green teas a day, and the other person would be taking that one tablet, and they get similar results. And I don't know what those results are. It's like you can't measure antioxidants.
No, I think what they do is they pick one of the little elements, and maybe there's 20 things in it, and there's 50 times as much of one of the smaller things that's in a green tea, and say anyway, it's not important. But I remember I remember just thinking that can't be right, and it goes with a lot of things, and we have both changed our tune on it, and now when people ask us what supplement should we have, we tell them what we believe, and we say, well, we feel as though protein's really helpful. And everything else, for most people, for the everyday Joe Blow, which most people are that come in and train with us, you don't really need anything else. If you're requiring, more iron or more of something else, multivitamin, then you probably need to address the real problem, which is your nutrition, and not addressing your supplement problem and trying to fix it. It's a Band-Aid fix.
Yeah.
You need to fix the major concern.
And if you want to use supplements, that's fine, but just use them under the right pretenses, as in don't expect them to solve all of your problems. Just because you take protein powder does not mean you're going to build muscle. Just because you take a fat burner does not mean you're going to burn more fat.
No,
and
exactly.
I think that's my issue with supplements now, why I've changed my mind so much, is because people are confused like you with the 50 cups of green tea. And they're taking these fat burners and they're not getting results. So the answer is, let's take 2 scoops. And then all of a sudden, that same product, Green XT50, is reformulated. Now it's 100 cups of green tea.
Or you just end up going through your green teas twice as fast and you end up buying twice as much. That's great. And that's great for everybody.
Yeah.
So, last thing, it's especially something that's marketed like a fat burner is, or Oxy Shred. They have these very appealing names, like you take this, you burn fat, and it is something that appeals to a lot of people, and everyone would love to take something and for it just to burn the fat away, and the marketing of all these supplements definitely play on that. But we've definitely, I don't want to say learned the hard way, because it's not like we suffered our way through it, but we've tried them all, and just we both are under that belief now. And that's part of the reason why you'll never see a fat burner or theanine or anything in our gyms that we're selling. The only thing we'll have in there really is protein powder, because that's something we both believe in.
Absolutely. All right. So that's what you've learned. That's what I've learned. I hope everyone listening has learned something. And as you mentioned at the start, it is really important to be open-minded and just change your opinion on things, because experience is the best teacher. And through our experiences, we have drawn a different conclusion than we both thought 5 years ago, and we are both far better off for it.
And in another 5 years, I hope we're still doing this podcast, we might have something else that we believe now and we don't believe then. So I think it's the nature of evolving as a human being that you change your views on things. And I'm sure even if you ask us again in 6 months about, there'll be something else that we've changed our opinion on. One
thing isn't going to change. We're more likely to step foot on the moon than someone get 50 green teas into one tablet.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I don't even like green tea. I don't know why I was having it.
For the fat burning.
True.
We'll wrap it up.
It ate its sleep too, apparently.
I didn't know that.
It had nothing to do with how much alcohol I was drinking.
Well, I wasn't too worried about sleep at the time of my life.
Mm.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for listening. We tried our best to keep it short. About 20 minutes is pretty good for us.
What was your time on that one?
Well, you talked heaps for me too, so I got 7. 7. Pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. You probably would have been about 5 under the time cap.
I imagine. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Have a lovely, lovely day.
Thanks, guys.